everyone, I'm Miranda, and welcome to August's Comfort Book Club discussion of All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot. As always, I'm joined by my lovely mum, Donna.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm so happy to be getting back to the Comfort Book Club after our summer break.
Yes, and what a great book to start with.
Yes, such a favourite of ours.
Yes.
So do get cozy. Thank you to all of the Comfort Book Club readers who sent in their voice messages to add to our discussion. Those will be included throughout our conversation today. So yes, like I said, get cozy. We've got our tea and we've also got some cake, which we thought would be just the sort of thing that would be served to Tricky Woo.
Yes, I think Mrs. Pumphrey would absolutely think that Tricky Woo deserved Battenberg cake.
Yes, I could just picture him guzzling
Queen
that down.
Victoria, of course, yes.
Yes, and I'm just so looking forward to today's discussion. So our history with the book goes back a long way.
It does.
I mean, you first introduced me to James Herriot stories through picture books.
Absolutely.
That you read to me as a child.
Yes, I mean, a lot of his did appear as these beautifully illustrated picture books, and I was lucky enough that they were coming out when you were a child.
Yes.
So we had those. I myself read them. I think the first one, I would only have been about 9 or 10 years old as they came out. Absolutely loved them, and I went along waiting for them. And in fact, the last one, Every Living Thing, was quite a bit after the other ones. So that one, and we were all so eager to read.
Oh, I can imagine waiting for each one to come out.
And then, of course, very soon you started listening to the audio tapes.
I did, because I loved the old TV series so much.
Yes.
I think it was from the 70s. It was, 80s?
I think
it was pretty old.
It was old, yes. And then, a lot of people were unknown. I mean, probably only Siegfried, who was Robert Hardy, was a well-known actor.
Yes, but they were so brilliant.
Yes.
I loved them. Watched those as a child, and then I started to read and listen to the audiobooks as well, and adored them. We've also watched the new TV series.
Yes,
and that
they're very
too.
nice. Very interesting how they changed it a little bit.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
It was really interesting to compare the two shows, but my heart is really with the old one in many ways, just because that was my childhood.
Yeah.
And what is funny is, returning to the book as an adult, my childhood memories are so much about how much I loved the animals.
Yes.
And the stories of the animals, and I remember all of the animals so clearly.
Yes.
And that is really what I especially fixated on as a child, and even as a teenager.
Yes.
But now I care so much more about the people and his descriptions of the landscape.
For me too.
And his romance with Helen, I love. It's like the people mean more to me. I mean, I still love all the animals.
Of course.
But I notice much more now, I guess, about the people.
I think I'm really, when I first read them in the 70s, it felt very, very close to my own life in many ways. I think now, we're now, 50 years on. Yeah. It's a lot different. And I think even the sort of Dells farmers and things like that, there aren't many of those left, if any. And it's all big dairy herds around here now. I think very few little ones. Yeah. So I think that the animals have changed, the people have changed, but what hasn't changed to me is the Yorkshire landscape and his love affair with that just really sung to me
this time. It's so true. But Vanessa sent in a message about how you can enjoy the book on different levels. And I think this is something I noticed. You can enjoy the stories of the animals, or you can enjoy the beautiful descriptions of landscape, or the amazing characters that he writes about. But let's hear Vanessa's message.
Hi Miranda, hi Donna. Hi, all fellow readers and followers. This is Vanessa from Prague. All Creatures, Great and Small was a really comforting read. I enjoyed it a lot, probably because it can be read at many levels. For example, the love and respect for animals, the settings and the country life, friendship, and even a sprinkle of romance. What I liked especially, something which to an extent even moved me, were the small yet significant and beautiful acts of kindness of the farmers. like inviting the vet for a cup of tea, for a meal, or giving him some produce.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
And yes, I love those small acts of generosity on the part
It's very
of the
heartwarming,
farmers.
isn't
Yes,
it? Yes,
and
yes.
how they often have so little themselves,
Yeah.
but always do share what they have, and that
Very
makes it even
hospitable.
more
There's always
special.
a cup, well, nearly always a cup of tea.
Yes.
And, an offer to give him something to
Yes.
eat. Yeah.
And it is just this amazing description of what life as a Yorkshire country vet was like in the interwar years. And you found something interesting about how the books first came to be written.
Yes,
I
I did.
Would you share what you found?
Absolutely. This is a lovely book. It's called The Wonderful World of James Herriot. And it's, I think, sort of put together by his children, Jim White and Rosie Page. And of course, his real name was James Alfred White.
Yes.
So I found this so interesting because it says, at first, James wrote short stories on various topics, treating his writing largely as a hobby, tapping away at his typewriter in the evenings. After some gentle prodding from our mother, he decided in 1965 to focus on writing a full-length book about the world he knew, veterinary practice. Over the next 18 months, still working full-time and often at night, he crafted a novel based on his experience, entitling it The Art and Science. He sent it off to the publisher Collins. Ultimately, Collins turned it down for publication, but he received an encouraging reply from one of the readers, and she gave him a crucial piece of advice. As the stories were clearly based on his own life and real events, why not write it in the first person as a semi-autobiographical work? Dad took to the idea enthusiastically, and he immediately set about reworking his book into an account of his first year in veterinary practice. By the summer of '68, it was finished, with the new title of If Only They Could Talk, as suggested by a local dairy farmer and friend of Dad's. Surprisingly, Colin turned the book down again, much to Juliana Wadham's disappointment. That was the reader who told him to do the semi-autobiographical one. Their loss, however, would turn into another publisher's gain. When Michael Joseph accepted the book for publication, the only change they suggested was that he alter his pen name from James Walsh, who was a real person on the veterinary register. Dad kept James, but came up with the alternative Herriot, inspired by the Birmingham City and future Scotland goalkeeper Jim Herriot.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it?
I love that it was Helen prompting him.
Yes, definitely. She was prodding, encouraging him. There's a lovely
yeah.
picture of them in this book where she's sitting watching TV and he's sitting with his typewriter, obviously in the evening together, writing away.
He had an incredible work ethic, didn't he? I mean,
That comes so clear.
It really does.
Yes.
But like you were just saying before too, a big draw of the books, like for us, is the descriptions of the Yorkshire landscape.
Well, of course, for us.
I mean, and it first inspired our holiday to Yorkshire.
It
We
did.
came years ago. We wanted
Yes.
to see the area of the Yorkshire Dales in
Yes.
particular, because it is part of North Yorkshire
Yes.
that he really does write about. And we just fell in love with it,
Yeah.
came back on holiday, and then finally moved here.
Yes.
And I love the kind of seasonality
Yeah.
that goes through his writing. I mean, these compilations are what are really famous now, the sort of All Creatures Great and Small, and then there's like All Things Bright and Beautiful, All
Yeah.
Things Wise and Wonderful, and so on. This actually contains If Only They Could Talk and It Shouldn't Happen to a
Yes,
Vet.
the first two, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yes.
And I think these are what are more known now.
Yes, they are.
These editions of his
Yes.
books. So this actually goes through, I think, about 2 or 3 years, like the
Yes.
first few years anyway,
It does.
of his time in Yorkshire. And you go through all the different seasons a few times.
Yes.
And he writes about seasonality well.
He does.
As well as the
it
beautiful
fits in with
landscape.
his work, of course, the lambing, the time when they have to do the TB vaccines, and everything is sort of tied to the seasonal rota with the vet practice for the farming community.
Yes, that's so true. And two of our readers, Laura and Marie, sent in messages also saying how much they enjoyed his description of the landscape and sort of sense of place. So let's hear Laura's message first and then Marie's.
Hello Miranda, hello Donna. This is Laura from Italy. All Creatures Great and Small is one of my favorite books, and reading it I always feel a sense of peace and contentment. I think this is due to a combination of different elements: the beautiful landscape, the deep contact between man and nature, and the slow pace of life described in the story. I feel immersed in a world where the seasons, the weather, deeply affect people's life, and even if there are some references to modern innovations, existence is still based on hard labor and genuine simple pleasures. I feel transported into a completely different dimension, as James says in chapter 36. There must be people working among the farms down there, I knew, but I couldn't see a living soul, and the peace, which I always found in the silence and the emptiness of the moors, filled me utterly.
Oh, thank you,
yes,
Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it's a beautiful quote, and I love that sense of peace that he gets from the landscape.
Yes, and from being often up high.
Yes,
so often he stops,
true.
He's high above it all.
Amazing view.
And it is still like that. It's the most incredible view.
Oh, it is. And Marie, who's another reader who sent in a message, is from Yorkshire, and she spoke about how she likes to pull over and look at the views still. So let's hear Marie's message.
Hello, Miranda, Donna and Comfort Book Club readers. This is Marie from Yorkshire. Having recently returned to the UK, it was a delight to revisit James Herriot's classic memoirs of his life as a country vet. My favourite characters are Mrs. Pumphrey and Tricky Woo. My favourite scene is when she explains he must be suffering from malnutrition, so she'd been giving him some little extras between meals to build him up. I love the descriptions of the Yorkshire scenery and stopping to admire the view, something I've done many times myself. Thank you for choosing All Creatures Great and Small as this summer's book club read.
Oh, thank you, Marie.
Thank you so much, Marie.
And that's great. You're back in Yorkshire
now.
Was
that just a holiday, or is Marie back?
I don't know. You'll have to let us know, Marie.
Yes.
You moved back permanently from Prince Edward Island, or are you just on holiday?
Yeah.
Both beautiful places to live.
Yes, exactly.
And yes, we also like to pull over and
we do a lot of that. That's one of the things, because Miranda so often will stop and take photographs. Yes. I'll just pull over and get out and breathe the air while she starts doing some photography.
Yes.
But it's just lovely. It's just a wonderful opportunity to take that time to stop and stand and stare.
Yes, and I love how he specifically references that quote in the book, and he says he doesn't ever have trouble finding the time to just stand and stare. Yeah. And I love that about his character, that for all his frenetic life, he really does purposefully take time often to just stop and admire the view or appreciate the natural world around him.
Yes, or even breathing the wisteria that time of year at Skelton Hall.
Yeah, while he's shaving in his bedroom. Like, he really notices these small pleasures of daily life, and I think that's a really special part of his personality and something that inspires me. But as much as we can recognise aspects of his Yorkshire in the Yorkshire we see today, he really is writing about a completely bygone time.
He is. He is.
I mean, his descriptions of the pubs, for instance.
I know.
They're basically just this kitchen with a big fireplace.
And of course, there was still the certain hours that they were allowed to sell beer and everything, and how they got around it and things like that.
Yeah, and the tiny farms that he describes and that way of life. I mean, it is really like a kind of bygone age.
But it feels so true, doesn't it?
It does.
You can tell that he's true to, even if I think he changed genders, sometimes changed names, obviously, but you really feel his stories were based on the truth every time.
Oh, you really do. Yes, you feel that integrity to his writing coming through, and also the genuine affection that he had. He loves writing about the people just as much as the animals, I think, and about all of these amazing characters that he met in his time. And Christina sent in a message about how she appreciated the way he describes the farmers, for instance, and even how they speak and communicate, and that's always really memorable to her. So let's listen to Christina's message.
Hello everyone, this is Christina from Somerville. A wistful autumnal tone permeates the book. It is well suited to September. James Herriot strives to preserve a time and place by recording what he feels matters most about its people, which, touchingly, is how deeply they care for one another and for their animals. This love is conveyed in the one-syllable interjections they draw on in conversation. I, nay, and yon are what always linger in my mind when I think of all creatures great and small, much more so than any particular escapade or encounter, although it is always fun to get exasperated with Tristan and Siegfried all over again.
Oh, thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Christina. And yes, I think it's one of the ways he brings the reader in with his story is that he's a stranger in a strange land. He can't understand what the farmers, the first message he gets when he's waiting for Siegfried to get back.
And he's going on 3 cylinders, the cow, and he's got no clue what they're on about.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think it's hilarious, and you like him get used to the language, you begin to understand it, you get the dialogue, but you also get that very close feeling, and you're sort of cheering once he begins to be accepted, and he's not the young new vet anymore. He's like someone that they trust and really look to, and I really love that.
Yeah, me too. That's very true, and I love that aspect of the book too. You see him becoming less and less of an outsider, and more accepted into the community.
Absolutely.
And a big part of that, I think, must have been just what a lovely man he was.
Absolutely.
I think that comes through
Shines
so much.
through, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even I think he always tries to find the best in people, and even when he can't, because he comes across some very difficult characters too, he always still has such a humility in the way he conducts himself, and he always still does try to be kind, and he always tries to do the best for the animals that he can.
Yes, even if it costs him in terms of he worries about the reaction of people.
Exactly. He always really does his best, and I think he's such a likable character. And Marta sent in a message specifically talking about James Herriot and what a lovely person he was. So let's hear Marta's message now.
Hi Miranda and Donna and all fellow Comfort Book Club readers. I'm Marta from Italy. Reading All Creatures Great and Small has been a delightful experience, with many fun moments as well as beautiful descriptions of nature. I'd like to say a few words about our humorous narrator, James. His job can be hard and tiring, but it's clear how much he loves it. We see how happy it makes him when he's starting to be accepted by the farmers, and he's touched by their offers of food. He also blames himself when he thinks he hasn't done a good enough job. He's such a kind, honest, hard-working person. By the end of the book, I felt like I had found a new friend. Thank you for choosing this book as our August read.
Oh, thank you, Marta.
Yes, thank you so much. That's so interesting that, for you too, it was his kindness that really shone through as well. I think that really, you just feel like he was just the most lovely man.
Yes, you do. And yes, you do feel like you've found a friend between the pages of the book, which makes his stories so special, I think. Yeah. And something else that I really enjoy about these stories are the almost episodic
each chapter kind of completes the story, doesn't it?
Yes,
in a way.
Almost every chapter.
Yes.
could be its own little story.
Yes, yes.
And that works so well. And it reminds me of some of my other favourite books, like the Just Williams stories by
Absolutely.
Richmal Crompton.
Yes.
And P.G. Woodhouse,
Oh,
a
of
lot of
course.
his books are like that
Yes,
as well.
yes.
There's like this little problem in
Yes,
each
yes.
chapter that is overcome. And that reminds me of James Herriot, with the humour, of course,
With
as
the
well,
humour,
because his
definitely.
books are just so laugh out loud.
I mean, we both ended up chuckling so loudly over these
Yes.
that we would say, well, what bit hit you up?
Yeah. But Myriam, another reader, sent in a message about how she enjoyed that each chapter was almost like its own little story as well. So let's hear Myriam's message.
Hi, everybody. This is Myriam from Southern California. I really enjoyed reading All Creatures Great and Small, not only because I love animals, but because each chapter seemed like a new tale. As I approached each chapter, I was thinking, what kind of trouble is he going to get into now? He obviously must have totally loved his work, or why else would he have put up with some pretty wild work conditions, slashing through the mud, etc. And overall, I really liked this book, and the vet seemed like a really nice guy. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Myriam.
Yes, thank you so much, Myriam.
And yes, I do love how you think, oh, what trouble is he going to get into?
And there are real motifs that go through, like the way that the bit where, Siegfried comes up with something that makes him look incredibly patient, or he completely loses interest.
Oh, well, we have to talk
Yeah,
about Siegfried
yeah.
and Tristan, because talking about the humour of the book, I mean, there's so much humour in all the different stories, but the bits that often have me roaring
Yeah.
with laughter are the bits with Siegfried and Tristan. And another reader, Anita, also said she thought she might sort of die laughing.
Yes.
So let's listen to Anita's message as well.
Hi, Miranda, Donna, and fellow book club readers. This is Anita from the US. Every time I open James Herriot's book, I'm instantly transported to the Yorkshire Dales, especially when he talks about the endless patchwork of fields blazing in the sun. And then the tales from his everyday job are so relatable. As Farnan says, it's a funny profession, ours, you know. It offers unparalleled opportunities for making a chump of yourself. And then when I get to Tristan's shenanigans and Mr. Greer's trick, I think I'm going to die laughing. Thank you, Miranda, for choosing this book.
Oh, thank you, Anita.
Yes, thank you, Anita.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost died laughing over Mr. Greer's trick,
Yes,
dressing him in
boiler
that suit. But also all of the shenanigans of Tristan and Siegfried,
Yes.
and Siegfried with all of the car situations.
The car situations
Poor
were
Jane.
apparently quite real too. Apparently you can still see the site of where the car rolled down and hit the golf club.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you drive along the road out of Thirsk.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Because
We'll have to
Darrowby
do
is, of
that.
course, based on Thirst.
Yes, there's a wonderful. You can see where the plague is on the original.
Yes,
veterinary-
Scaledale
yeah.
House. Yes,
Yes.
we are going to go there.
Yes,
soon.
yes.
But this has been so much fun.
It has.
And it's always lovely to chat about a very favourite book, and a real comfort read. It always
is.
makes me laugh, and I just love it. I know you do too.
Yeah.
So thank you
Thank
to
you.
everyone who read along with us for our summer book, and especially to those who sent in a Comfort Book Club message. It was so wonderful to hear your thoughts. And don't forget September's Comfort Book Club choice of Goodbye Mr. Chips by James Hilton.
I can't wait.
I can't wait
Yes,
to read
yes.
this either. But yes, thank you so much for watching August discussion. Extra big thanks to everyone who pressed the super thanks button on my last video. I always so appreciate your support. But thank you to everyone who likes and comments and watches my videos. I hope you enjoyed our chat.
Yes.
I won't actually be on next Sunday, but I'll be back the following Sunday. So I look forward to seeing you then. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.